Peace. So, talking to brothers and sisters, right? Especially people who are what I call detractors of the Moorish Science Temple of America, or the detractors of our information, you know what I'm saying, the lessons and things that was brought to us and demonstrated by our holy and divine prophet Noble Drew Ali for the upliftment of our people. You understand what I'm saying? To increase our learning as well as to edify us and to raise us, you know what I'm saying, to help us raise ourselves from our health, you know what I'm saying, every aspect of yourself being raised to a higher degree. You know what I'm saying? The Holy Quran of Mecca says that Allah exalts those in degrees who he chooses. You see what I'm saying? But the reality is this. The reason I'm bringing this up is because sometimes within the movement, you have people who are in the movement per se, or they think they are, and they think they're intelligent enough to try to challenge this information to the point where, you know, we may make a statement. But when a person doesn't have an understanding of what they're actually reading, if they don't really comprehend, or they don't have an astute thought process, they'll miss things. This is why I'm saying that reading is fundamental, and it's important that when you read, you're not reading just to read. You're reading for clarity. You're reading to understand the information. You understand what I mean? So it can be utilized or applied to self. We take the best parts of anything and we apply it to our own self. You know what I'm saying? When you can find what fits your condition. But in order to do that, you must know the condition you're in to find out those pieces that will fit the condition and to alter and to be a remedy for the condition. But that's a whole nother story. The reason I'm doing this is because there seems to be a misunderstanding a lot of times with these lessons, our Moorish 101s, which are for those who love Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Our Quran and our Moorish 101s go hand in hand. It's the same thing. You understand what I mean? It's the same. It's one. They go hand in hand. Now the thing is this. I hear people taking the lessons and thinking that some things are the same as other things. For instance, this is a very basic lesson, man. You know what I'm saying? And it's just backed on reading being fundamental. Okay? A prophet is a thought of Allah. What is a prophet? A prophet is a thought of Allah manifested in flesh. What is an angel? An angel is a thought of Allah manifested in human flesh. These are some of our lessons. Question 6 is, what is a prophet? Question 38 is, what is an angel? Now, this is very important. Why? Because many people seem to be under the understanding that a prophet is a simple title, a simple narrative, and that everyone can be a prophet, which I don't disagree. But in order to be a prophet, there is stages of development that one must go through to change. You understand what I'm saying? Because see, a prophet no longer is just a regular man. You see what I mean? And this is where reading comes in. This is where the fundamental ideal of comprehension comes in. Because when you read something, you must read it at least 7 to 8 times to get a clear understanding. You read it, you break the words down. If you don't understand the words, you take a word that you don't understand and you break that word down, because if you don't understand the word, then you've missed the whole meaning of the said question or the said answer. So you have to, there's a skill set when dealing with this type of information. So back to the statement though. You have people running around saying, well, I'm a prophet. Well, anybody could be a prophet because the prophet is a thought of Allah manifested in flesh. But see, the key is there's a difference between an angel and a prophet. One has human flesh and the other has flesh. But what type of flesh does the prophet have? What type of flesh does a prophet have? Because see, in the 101s, it doesn't clarify that. It just says that a prophet is a thought of Allah manifested in flesh. Manifested in flesh. An angel is a thought of Allah manifested in human flesh. There's a distinct difference. Now, what you must do as a Moorish scientist, and if you don't have an understanding, maybe you want to go to your grand sheikhs or your instructors and ask them this question, or you can go to your Moorish Holy Quran in your 101s and put it together and break it all down, because see, the answer that's in the 101s and the questions and answers also lead you right back to the Quran, because the answers can be furthered through the Moorish Holy Quran, and even when you touch those answers, it can still be expanded through your own understanding now that you've gained an understanding. You see what I mean? So we have to recognize that reading is fundamental, and somebody's not teaching that comprehension is an aspect of this movement. You understand what I mean? In order to grow and unfold, understanding must take place. And we understand and know that that is a treasure of Allah. But the more that man excels in his studies, the more Allah gives the gift of understanding. You see what I mean? It works hand in hand. You see what I mean? Because I'm not talking about something outside of yourself giving you an understanding. I'm talking about something that's already within, that's higher than what you understand with this, because you're caught with this. You see what I mean? And this has its own nature that's contradictory to you. So you know what? When you hear people say, man submits and so on and so forth, man is not his body. So the true man does not submit. But what happens is the misinterpretation of submission. What the true man is doing, the high man or the spirit man or the Allah in man, is making that carnal nature bow down. You understand what I mean? It's making that submit to the Allah within. Understand that so there won't be no misunderstanding. You see how comprehension makes things much easier when you have a higher understanding. When your thoughts are being raised to infinite wisdom, your understanding begins to grow and change, because you know that the Prophet gave us a demonstration that was physical and spiritual. You see what I mean? So, but back to that question, a prophet and an angel, something we hear all the time. And this is something I've asked people inside of the Moorish Science Temple of America, people who quote unquote have leadership titles. And they'll tell me it's the same thing. An angel and a prophet, there's no different. But reading is fundamental. Comprehension is fundamental. Understanding these lessons and their connections are fundamental. So chapter 16, chapter 17, chapter 18, part 17, 18, 19 of our Moorish Holy Quran gives you an in-depth explanation of what it means, what a prophet is, and what type of flesh a prophet has, and how that flesh goes to human flesh, how it comes from human flesh and turns into a different form of flesh, what we would call an incorruptible flesh, as the Piscean record calls it, going from corruptible flesh to incorruptible flesh, as what we would call the scientific manifestation of the inner alchemy of base metal to gold, man's carnal nature being a base metal, animalistic, being altered and transmitted or transmuted to a high degree or to gold. The changing of the flesh. You understand what I'm saying? A high vibration, tone changing, allowing man to not only use his body, but he can also step outside of the body at will and use it back and forth as he wants. See, the body, the tone has changed. The body tone has changed. It's no longer, it no longer has fetters attached to it. In other words, it does no longer have to do certain things that we have no control over as human flesh. You see what I mean? So that I just want you to get an understanding, man, because people use these words all the time, prophet and angel, and they don't have an understanding of what it is. Then they run around thinking that it's simply easy to be a prophet. No, there's a transformation process. You understand what I'm saying? There's an anointment, there's an appointment, there's a consecration that takes place within and outside. You know what I mean? A prophet has undergone some trials and tribulations. You understand what I'm saying? To prove that they are worthy to become a higher form. You understand what I'm saying? And to carry out the work of that which sent it and that which helps it transmute itself to something higher than just a man. You see what I mean? So just take that lesson and understand it, because you hear people run around talking about, oh, we can be prophets because prophets are thoughts of Allah manifested in flesh. No, fool, you can't. You can, but you can't. You don't have what it takes possibly to become a prophet. Not a prophet by the terms of what we hear in the church, or the prophets in the church and so on. A prophet, one that is appointed and anointed and consecrated by the universal forces itself. You understand? One who has undergone a transformation, and that transformation can be seen and witnessed by others. They know and understand that this is no longer just a regular being in front of them. Because see, a prophet is the tool now of something much greater. It is no longer, the prophet is no longer for his own self. Everything he does is no longer at his own discretion or at his own force or will. He is the will being utilized. You understand what I'm saying? So I just want you to get an understanding of that, man, because comprehension is a basic thing, and a lot of times we don't have it. And a lot of times we choose to deal with it because we have to go within our own selves and see our infallible weaknesses. You see what I mean? And sometimes we don't want to confront those. But to confront your weaknesses is what brings you strength. Peace.